Hello and welcome to the fifth session on Unit 1 on the Strategic Management course in MBA program. I am Pankaj Chauhan. I am associated with Ajay Kumar Garg Institute of Management, Ghaziabad. In this session, I will be covering the concept of strategic management, the features of strategic decisions, and we will cover the levels at which strategy operate. So far learning outcomes out of this session is concerned, you will be able to understand the concept of strategy in detail. You will be able to recognize strategic decisions by identifying key features. You will also able to explain the three levels at which strategy operate. So let us begin with the concept of strategy. Historically, the word strategy has been derived from Greek word strategos. Strategos is a verb referring to art of war, and in particularly this verb was used in context to explain the role of general in a war. The role of general in a war is to manage uncertainty with limited resources. The army general has to plan, foresee and accordingly envision the strategy for its soldiers. The soldiers would not be able to see that much. In a sense, the main role of the general is to bring out the strength out of the soldiers. For an army man, it is not the assumption that will work, but the actions that add value by defining the actions against the actions of opposite. In military, strategy is to extract latent strength from resources which are available to attack the weak point of enemies during war. The point is, as I said, the role of general is to find out and explore the bits and pieces that are available with their troop members. We can compare the business unit with the troops and the role of army general with the role of manager. In business units, the manager work in uncertainty, usually under the constraint of various resources, but has to manage the entire business. So strategy that are basically coming from the military background are more or less has the same kind of implication in the business. Now let us think about the term strategy and try to see what comes to your mind. So what comes to our mind when we thought of strategy is a plan, a long-term plan. Professor Gulick of University of Georgia, he defined strategy as a unified, comprehensive, integrated plan designed to assure that the specific objectives of the enterprise are achieved. He explained that unified here means that the plan join all the part of the enterprise together, which means whenever strategy formulation took place, various participants from the different part of organization come together and then they work out for the strategy. So strategy should address all the parts of the organization. Comprehensive here means that it should cover all the major aspects of the enterprise. No issue or the problem should remain untouched while creating the strategy. And finally, the word integrated means that all parts of the plan are compatible to each other. which means that whenever we create a strategy should enhance the compatibility of various levels in the organization. So, with this understanding, let us discuss some of the examples, and through these examples I would like to highlight one important question, and the answer to this question will lead us to understand the other dimension of strategy and to understand the importance of strategy. So, let us take the first two in the first set, Royal Enfield, Harley Davidson. The first Royal Enfield was manufactured and sold in 1901 by Eicher Motors. Since then to as of now, this brand has flourished like anything. It is not only sold in India, but it is also selling across different countries of the world. So, Royal Enfield is a 100+ year brand. Harley Davidson is also a 100+ years old brand. The first Harley Davidson was manufactured and sold in year 1903. Harley Davidson entered to Indian market in the year 2009 as Harley Davidson India, and they started their wholly owned subsidiary here. Very recently, on 25th September 2020, Harley Davidson India announced that they are quitting from the Indian market. They are leaving Indian market. Now, try to understand Royal Enfield and Harley Davidson. As such, brand wise there is no comparison, but so far business is concerned, both are able to live for more than 100 years. But one company, Eicher Motors, who is owning the Royal Enfield, is selling Royal Enfield in Latin American countries, whereas Harley Davidson recently quit. In the next set of the examples, there are three companies: JCPenney, Jet Airways, SR Steel India Limited. Now, if we look at, there is no similarity lies in their businesses. JCPenney is a retailer, Jet Airways is a airline, and SR Steel basically into the steel. Now, the common thing that actually help us to make it one set is that these three companies went bankrupt in different time periods. And the recent example of the bankruptcy in this set of three is JCPenney company. JCPenney, which is 100+ year old company, which run its business in America in retail, they filed bankruptcy in year 2020, this year only. Another interesting example that I want to discuss here is about Marvel Entertainment. Marvel Entertainment was into the business of selling comic books in US, so it's an American company. By the year 1996, this company become almost bankrupt and they filed bankruptcy. The reason was their business was not flourishing. There was changes happening in the interest of the children who were not preferring comic books anymore, and company was not able to cope up with this. Marvel Entertainment developed so many fictional characters, but after filing the bankruptcy in 1996, this company bounced back so successfully that they run their business up to year 2009. In year 2009, the business of Marvel Entertainment was acquired by Walt Disney Company for 4 billion US dollar. Walt Disney utilized various comic characters, fictional characters developed by Marvel to create movies. And in year 2019, that is last year only, in year 2009, Walt Disney purchased Marvel Entertainment. After 10 years, that is in the year 2019, Walt Disney announced that they have generated 18 billion US dollar in 10 years time. So think about what was wrong with Marvel Entertainment, that they were not able to capitalize, and why Walt Disney was able to succeed. The last example in this slide that will help me to highlight the important question for which this entire discussion is taking place. This is a recent example. In the last week only, in the month of September 2020, Volvo sold its Volvo bus service business to Eicher Motors for 100 crores. There is a question, why Volvo is selling its business to Eicher, or not to Eicher but to any of the participant, and what Eicher is looking in that business that it is spending 100 crore rupees. So some value which I think Eicher is looking at, wherever Volvo is not able to capitalize. Volvo in the same manner sold out its car business to a company from China called Geely. So again, a company purchased some businesses, a company sold out some businesses. The question is, why do some companies succeed and other fails or struggle sometime in the same industry and in many of the cases within the same country? The answer to this question lies in the understanding of the drivers of strategic performance. If we understand what drives strategic performance and then try to match out some plan that can create the balance, possibly we could have a strategy that will help us to succeed. Many a times there are some missing elements, maybe because of the complacency, maybe because of some other reasons that company missed to create a complete matching of the drivers of performance. So for the sake of first-hand understanding, let us see the categories of drivers of performance. The drivers of performance are categorized in two different broad contexts. One is the competitive context of the company, and another is the company itself as a context. So competitive context include the forces of industry and the forces from the external environment. Competitive context also include the product and the service that company is bringing to the market with a promise that it will deliver some unique or differentiated value. So this is the competitive context. The organization context include the forces of internal environment. It also includes the forces that create a business model, the forces that company utilized in a formal setup to create, communicate, deliver value to the consumers at a profit. That is nothing but the business model. So all the forces that are the composition or constituent of business model are the part of organization context. Likewise, companies do have certain assumptions because they have certain limitations, and these assumptions are expressed in the philosophy, intent part of the company, which create mental models. Now, for a successful strategy, what is required here that can answer to the question that why some companies fail and others succeed? Strategy can be defined as a process, as an approach to achieve a fitness, a level of fitness between the organization and competitive context while dealing with set of constraints. The point here is, in the competitive context we can find out the threats and opportunities, whereas in the organization context we can find out our strength and weaknesses. Strategies should be planned in such a manner that the threats can be overcome by utilizing opportunities and strength can be used to overcome the weaknesses. Now, it seems very simple in the explanation. When we do it, there are a lot of things to be controlled and that can create some problems. So, I have mentioned two tests over here. Whenever we create a strategy and try to see whether this strategy will be able to give us any value, then these two tests should be conducted. Try to see that the strategy which we have developed or we are going to prefer is able to achieve certain level of or degree of fitness between the competitive context and the organizational context. If answer is yes, that is approximately 80%, 70%, 90%, this strategy can create fitness or this strategy can create a balance, then it will take the company to the competitive parity level, that at least you can compete. And if this is able to create 100% fit, then surely it is going to give better results. Many a time there are confusion regarding fitness and the sustainability of fitness. It is therefore the next test that is very important here is check out whether the preferable strategy that we are going to use is able to generate any competitive advantage or not. And if it is generating the competitive advantage, how long that competitive advantage would be sustainable. So, these are the two tests. If the answers are positive, then obviously it will definitely give a better strategy. Now, I will discuss how companies convey their strategy. Many a time we know what is a strategy, how strategies are developed and other things. Through this slide, I will try to explain how companies communicate or describe their strategies. Is there a kind of document like strategies of company which is lying in the company? No, it is not. So, how do one can know about the strategies of the company? The answer lies in the tracking or in the evaluation and observation of the particular company. If I want to understand what strategy a company is following or what strategic move that company can take in time to come, we have to observe two things regarding their actions. One, what is the competitive frame of reference for this company? Second, the approach toward competition. The competitive frame of reference here indicate where to compete. Now, the answer to this question where to compete can be described by the company like in terms of geographies, in terms of their consumers such as B2B, wherein a business is selling to another business, B2C, wherein a business is selling to customers, B2G, wherein a company is selling to the government. So, the kind of customers, they can also describe something about the company where company is competing. Product and services can also be used to define the competitive frame of reference. Now, approach, how to compete, whether company is competing on the basis of cost, on the basis of differentiation. So, if we trace the company, how they are answering to these questions, obviously we can find out their possible strategy. Now, this take me to the another question, which is about what is strategic decision. So, strategic decisions are about the decisions that lead to provide some sort of competitive advantage which are sustainable, and strategic decisions align organizations activities with its environment, resources and capabilities. Strategic decisions define the basis on which companies should compete, and one important note here is not all future oriented decisions are strategic. For example, if a company is going to replace the old machinery by a new one, maybe a very up to date machine, a machine which is requiring huge investment, may not be considered as a strategic decision, though it is futuristic. Last characteristic of the strategic decision is strategic decisions are usually initiated and approved by top level management. Now, the strategic decisions, there are few other characteristics, such as strategic decisions redistribute resources. Strategic decisions can change business models. For example, if a company which is working offline is taking its business to online, so definitely the business model which is relevant for online is changed. Any strategic decision that can create synergy or give additional value would be considered as a sustainable strategic decision. Strategic decisions are riskier and hard to reverse. They give or they impact in long term, and they bridge the intention and the competition. So, these are some of the characteristics. If we evaluate any decision on these criteria and found 60–70% similarity of these characteristics in that decision, we could say that is a strategic decision. There are three levels at which strategy operates, and when this topic comes to our mind, levels at which strategy operate, think this way, that in this topic we have to explain strategy making hierarchy that company is following. So, basically there are three levels: corporate, business and functional level. Corporate level deals with what business are the company in, business level deals with how do the companies compete, and functional deals with the functional level support. Corporate level strategies describe the directions and overall orientation toward growth, sustainability and retrenchment. Corporate level strategy also deals with portfolio creation, what SBUs to be carry forward, what SBUs to be liquidated, that also comes under the corporate strategy. And finally, resource distribution comes under corporate strategies as a separate class by the name parenting strategies. Business level strategies are the strategies which focuses on improving competitive position. Now, when we say competitive position, it may be the position of the company in a particular target market, or sometime maybe in a particular product category. So, any action or strategy dealing with protecting or improving the competitive position will come under business level strategy. Business level strategy basically focuses on three things. Some companies can be focusing on the cost leadership. For example, Walmart. Few companies can focus on specific group of customers, they can deal in specific niche, and various companies usually try to be in this category of selling differentiated products. Google and Apple are some of the examples. Now, last is the functional level strategies. Functional level strategies describe the approach that functional areas takes to achieve corporate and business unit objectives by maximizing resource productivity. they are concerned with developing and nurturing distinctive competencies to provide competitive advantage. Now, this term distinctive competency is different from the competitive advantage. Distinctive competency refers to the set of those skills and resources that the functional level people are working out in certain manner, which is highly specific but available to everyone. That means that these are the resources which are available to everyone, but it is our department which is able to create a certain specific bundle which others are not able to. So, this creates distinctive competency. Function level strategies include various strategies related to supply chain management, human resource management, finance, sales and marketing. To share one example regarding function level strategy, every year PepsiCo invested huge amount in advertising. The purpose is to generate more demand. So, basically this advertising strategy is a part of function level strategy. Now, the topic is different level of strategy, and I said that when we thought of this different level of strategy, we should thought of a hierarchy. So, at the top level, the company decided to grow its business by 10%. Accordingly, business level plan some strategy. They plan to increase its reach to the other areas, maybe to the semi-urban and rural areas, and for that part they want to aware people on those areas, and to make people aware they have to have a strategy for it. So, that strategy is basically about advertising. So, this is how a single strategy is integrated, like Professor Gluck said that the strategy should be a plan which is integrated, unified and comprehensive from top to the function level. So, with this we have come to the end of this session. In this session we have discussed what is a strategy, wherein we trace the historical linkage of strategy with the military background. We also try to explain that strategy is a plan which is long term, and it has certain characteristics such as it has to be integrated, it has to be unified, it has to be comprehensive, as Professor Gluck advocate. We have also covered the various kind of characteristics that help us to identify whether a decision is strategic or not, wherein we see that some of the decisions that redistribute the resources, that creates competitive advantage, that create any change in the business model, that require huge investment, or comes under the strategic decisions. In the last part of the session we covered different levels at which strategy operate. Herein we explained that there is a hierarchy that help us to create a strategy from top to bottom in the organization, because strategy creation require lot of coordination and communication, and top level, middle level and the function level can be used as a hierarchy during the formulation of strategy. So, with this session is ending. Thank you so much.